Greetings, Guardians, and welcome back to our Twitch channel. This is a mic check. This is not the actual show. This is the pre-show. This is where we make sure that our technology works and let you benchmark it against your own personal biological auditory senses. If you can hear my voice, you're ready to enjoy a stream. That stream will begin in approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Stand by, and if you can hear me, please sound off in the chat with a hell yeah. This has been a sound check. I'm Deej from Bungie.
Welcome to Mercury, Guardian.
We have infinite realities to explore, and all the time in the world.
No, Guardian! We won't get another shot!
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for the second in a series of 3 live streams dedicated to Curse of Osiris, the first expansion coming to Destiny 2 on December 5th. I'm Deej, and I will be your host and moderator for this conversation, including 2 of the developers who have led the creative process that have involved many talented, passionate people at Bungie who have created this new story that we're telling in the world of Destiny 2. I'd like to introduce you to the people who have volunteered to sit in the hot seat and talk to you about what we have made for your entertainment, exploration, shooting, heroic pleasure. First of all, returning to the stream from last week, we have Dave Matthews. Good morning.
Morning. Good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. So last week you talked to us about story, but for those of the people in the audience who were not here for that stream, who may be meeting you for the first time, give us an idea as to what you do at Bungie and what was your contribution to Curse of Osiris.
Sure. My name is Dave Matthews. I'm the art director for Curse of Osiris. My job basically entails working with a ton of talented artists and also design, narrative, fiction, and helping all those groups create something that's visually compelling and breathe life into the world.
Storytelling through art, as we like to say.
Absolutely.
Very good. And Dan Miller.
Hey.
How you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
You were the game director for this expansion.
Yes, I was.
So you got to lead. You got to lead the charge involving many different disciplines.
Yep. Yeah. So I worked with a team, everybody on the project. The goal was to, as a game director, you want to guide and you want to provide a vision for the project and for everyone, because we have a lot of really talented people here at Bungie, and just let them do their thing and then just kind of rally the charge.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, there's several things that we want to accomplish on stream today. Chat has been put into subscription-only mode. Station identification. All subscriptions benefit the Bungie Foundation and our mission to ease the suffering of children as they are in the hospital and seeking wellness. We appreciate your support there, and this is an opportunity for us to focus the conversation just a little bit. While we are sitting and talking together, we are going to explore Mercury, brand new destination for this expansion. We are going to take a look at a new endgame reward system that you'll be able to use to add weapons to your inventory, and we are going to embark on an adventure through the Infinite Forest, which is a new way to play Destiny. So usually what we would do is we would go to a live fire team, but in the interest of time, as it is difficult to predict exactly when a public event may begin, instead of us trying to fill the moments with idle chit-chat while we wait for that public event to spawn.
You don't like bro talk?
I thought we'd keep the bro talk, as you just said, to a dull roar and show you exactly what a public event is like on Mercury. So, as I said, in the interest of time, we're going to show you that we captured something that we just captured earlier. So we do have a fire team on set. They're going to be playing through the Infinite Forest live, but right now what we'd like to do is we would like to show you the footage that we captured of this brand new public event that is created just for Mercury.
Yep.
Bespoke public event is what you guys have been
Yes.
saying to refer to this.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what. John Sova, one of our designers, and
Yeah.
Noah Thompson, one of our artists, got together and basically built the space around this public event. I like to call it kind of the Vex Circus. That's not the original name, but it's this really awesome custom space and set of encounters that it's a lot of fun, and it's our biggest thing we've built for public events. And the whole space is kind of, as you can see, you just saw that the space transforms as you play, and you will expand out throughout and go to different areas that you can't go to at any other time.
The transformative playable space is a running theme for
Yes.
Curse of Osiris.
Absolutely.
The event has begun. So you are witnessing the largest, most elaborate public event, most rewarding public event, we will see later, that we've ever created for Destiny or Destiny 2. Here we have the boss. Talk to us about this boss.
So we're going to have these gatekeepers. They're going to be spawning throughout the space, and they're going to kind of be a brief focal point. And once you kill them, you'll pick up these, what we call keys, and dunk them. And then these are more or less your way of progressing through the different phases of the public event.
Nice dunk. 2 points. Not actually, that's a basketball joke. You don't actually earn points.
Yeah, and then at this point here is you'll move over to the complete other side of the space and play a more similar type of experience. And this is kind of just the first phase of the entire public event. We built Vex cannons throughout the space to kind of let you move quickly to another part of the phase. As you can see, we're about to clear out this guy, this gatekeeper. Once he's done, we're going to once again do another dunk. And keep in mind, this can be done in parallel at the same time with multiple guardians can more or less do this in parallel. But we're going to show you the whole thing.
I think one of the things that is worth mentioning, in previous public events, they always tend to have one core focal element, and it always drives everybody to one centralized location. With this event, it actually, because of the way we've set it up, we have these different islands. It allows the team and everybody that's in the public space that's engaged in the public event itself to be able to move around the environment. And that's what we kind of talk about, like trapeze, bouncing back and forth. And that's where that Vex Circus idea comes from.
Yeah.
The Vex Circus. Okay.
And then because you're now on an island, you can't get here any other way except for this event. So this is kind of opening up the space to other areas that you won't be able to normally get to when you're patrolling around.
And we have a guardian down.
And someone failed here.
There's no failure. There's only temporary delay between you and victory.
They failed.
Okay.
And so now the goal is for them to, when they're on these islands, is to kind of do a similar thing, which is kill more gatekeepers and pick up the keys and make more progression through the space, through the encounter.
So this fire team will trigger the heroic aspect of this public event.
But we're not going to show.
But we are not going to show you exactly how that works. Maybe some of these special guests who visited our studio in recent weeks, who will have their own content going live after the stream. We'll see if they can explain it. We'll see if they can figure it out. But for the purposes of this stream, we will demonstrate the existence of some heroic modifiers for this public event. But you will not learn. You will not learn during this stream exactly how that happens.
You see, there's a big kind of a EMP explosion that's forming in the center of the space to kind of clue you in that something else is going to happen further in the public event. And this is a pretty involving public event, which I think is really cool because there's a sense of progression that happens that is not just in one spot. You're kind of all over the place.
It's phased, yeah.
So they just finished one island, now they're headed back to the other. And if you noticed earlier that there are the Vex cannons kind of turn around to unlock different things, different phases of the encounter. It's kind of a cool little twist that we're doing to, instead of having to have new things spawn in, we can use the same thing and make it feel like it's kind of part of a machine.
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked about last week, Dave, when we were exploring the story and the lore of Curse of Osiris, is that, Mercury was once a garden world, and now that the Vex are here and have made it their domain, the entire planet has been converted to a machine.
Yes.
And as we play through these activities, you really get a sense of the fact that we are just sort of now a cog in their machine, and it's definitely putting us through the paces.
Yeah, and through the story, which we'll cover, you'll see more evolutions of that machine, which I really love the Vex story. I think it's a cool concept.
One of the things that we talked about was getting back to some of those themes about mystery and always trying to understand, always plant the seed in the player's head of what's going to happen next. I think that's also another, I think it's a core tenet about part of this design is as it unfolds, as it progresses, you're constantly asking yourself, what happens next? What is my next? What am I charged with doing next?
Yep.
And I think now as we're getting closer and closer to how the heroic is starting to display, you're going to see a little bit more and ask those questions of like, now how am I going to deal with the boss that looks like I see right now?
Yes, he's now invincible. Oh my gosh. So you'll take down more gatekeepers, and there's a theme of kind of taking down gatekeepers, picking up keys, and then that barrier there prevents it so you can't just shoot in. You have to actually engage in the space.
Nice little piece of multitasking there.
Yeah. And
Running
then
the ball,
dunk.
reviving your friend,
Now and then you do damage again to the...
dunking the key. You said those were keys, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Gatekeepers, keys, locks. All variations on a theme. Deciphering the machine.
This is where it gets really crazy, because everybody kind of converges in the center area. And once again, this is a space you won't be able to go to in the during the normal patrol. This only is reserved for the public event.
Right. And if you happen to land boots on the ground while this is going on, like you can actually see this mayhem. It's pretty awesome to, like, when you come into space and you see people flying around. And
You can even see this from the lighthouse proper. It's pretty cool.
So you could just hang out up in the lighthouse.
With Brother Vance and popcorn.
your skybox seats.
I sure love me some popcorn.
Spectate the public event. And it should be said that this is all a public space.
Yes.
So if you're watching this at home and you are a solo player, if you don't have a friends list that is bristling with teammates, Destiny will introduce you to people that will help you complete this activity. We currently have a pre-made fire team, and they are, in fact, heroic. Now let's check this out. I promised before that this was the most rewarding public event, and there we have it. We have 2 chests for a change, and check out those sweet moves.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I'm a spicy ramen kind of guy.
Spicy ramen guy. Well, that's actually about to become a thing of myth and legend.
Yeah.
So once season 1 is over, bye spicy ramen, and we'll make room for some other exotic ways to express yourself non-verbally in Destiny. But that's a conversation for another time. That's a conversation we had in the past at TwitchCon. We have our own reality machine, reality engine, as we say. So with the public event complete, I want to talk a little bit about one of the new endgame reward systems that we have on its way to Destiny 2. And for that, we need to return to the lighthouse. So controller in hand. And there we are, looking out over the space in which we were just playing. It's a beautiful day on Mercury. It's always sunny.
A beautiful day.
Always sunny in Mercury, huh?
Sunny, 1,000 degrees.
This is a good opportunity for us to talk about some of the different innovations to the Destiny player experience. Whenever we are adding content to Destiny like this, it's a good opportunity to give the players new ways to understand their adventure and their progression, give them some new things to do. Anybody who is a Crucible elite who might have been to the Lighthouse before can see that, as we looked last week and saw that we've appropriated what was once a social space to being a place where you can now have access to a vendor. Brother Vance is now a dealer of story and mystery and rewards. But let's also talk about some of the other ways in which we've innovated on the way people can play Destiny 2. We just talked about a bespoke public event, a public event that is created specifically for a destination to take advantage of how that destination can be interactive. Also talk to me about how some of the different adventures in this game change the way that you'll interact with the environment and with basically the story in general.
So we have kind of made some changes to, first of all, the lighthouse itself.
Yep.
It's a little more streamlined. You don't have to run like a mile to get out. We have a warp gate right there.
Yep.
We have this thing we call the Forge, which we will talk about in a bit. And this is the wall of this wall of weapons, the Vex weapon wall.
Yeah, this actually shows you your progression as you're going through and you're actually building various weapons that are all elective at the end of the game.
Okay.
Yep.
This is an optional end game pursuit that players can enjoy after they've finished the campaign.
Yep. And
Okay.
then we also have a mystery that you can solve. That if you are attentive, you can start to kind of piece together in this space.
In this space. Okay.
And then as well, we have the Vancinator, the Brother Vance.
The Vancinator. Did you have to do that?
Yeah, so I can make everybody groan.
Oh.
And so, he's kind of the centerpiece. He will give you bits of information. He will give you new chases. He will give you adventures, which is going to be the kind of the cornerstone of how you explore Mercury.
Okay.
And so from here, you can get you can play adventures that will let you more or less explore parts of Mercury that you can only explore with adventures.
Okay. So the destination is basically delivered to you through a series of different adventures.
Yes.
We'll talk a little bit about also how some of those adventures are now heroic.
Yes. Yes.
And you're adding modifiers to some of those adventures.
Yep, we're adding a bunch of modifiers to the adventures, and they're going to be random every time you play it. These adventures, the heroic ones, are very, very challenging.
Yeah.
Bring a fire team. If you're good, bring yourself. Be solo. You can play it anyway.
Okay.
But it's definitely going to challenge people.
Okay.
And the hardiest of players.
Yes.
So I want to talk about this. This is basically the first step that we will follow in order to acquire those endgame weapons that we were just taking a look at the interface in the wall there. Lost Prophecies. Osiris wrote his lost prophecies on these 6-sided tablets and hid within them a secret for the guardian whose deeds he foresaw. So we have 3 options here. We have these different verses, verse 3, 4, and 10. In the interest of showing off a weapon that our audience did not see on the last stream, I'm going to forego the contrivance of an election run in chat, and I'm just going to acquire verse number 3.
And there's many other verses too.
How many verses in total?
It's 11.
11
verses.
All right.
Yeah.
So I now have verse 3 as part of my inventory, and I'm supercharged, thank goodness. So talk to me about the process for using this verse to obtain a new weapon.
So if you look at that weapon, or if you look at that verse in your inventory,
And that's where I can find it, in my inventory?
it's in your inventory, yes.
Okay.
You'll see that, and if you, it shows basically what you need
Yes.
from the game, from playing activities in the game. There's various drops that you'll get.
So this feels like a quest.
It is a quest.
An army meets and stands and falls. 3 nobles wage their hopeless war. In shifting madness, evil crawls. One stands above the battle's roar. So I need concentrated radiolarian culture,
Yep.
and I need adaptive paradox amplifier.
Yeah.
All right, so where do I find those things?
So if you go into the details,
Yep.
you can look at the
Okay.
things that you will need,
Okay. So
and
here
they
are
will tell you what activities you'll play. And so what we want to do with this is give people reasons and having them not give them weird random things to do, but give them activities that they would already normally play.
Yeah.
And then they can go play and then get the resources from those.
added incentive. So in this case, this is a rare item acquired by completing strikes.
Yes.
Crucible matches, and heroic adventures on Mercury.
Yeah, so what we
really
did-
glad we covered heroic adventures already. Otherwise, this would be a spoiler
Yes.
fed out through the user
Absolutely.
interface, and
So
that's why we went
we've
Huddless
kind of
last
bucketed
week.
those as time in terms of time. So when you look at one of these things, you go, "Oh, I know how long a strike lasts. I know how
Okay.
long a crucible match."
Yep.
And so by doing those things, and you don't have to do all of them. If you're like, "Oh, I'm a Crucible for life, bro," you can totally
Yep.
just play a bunch of Crucible games, and you will get those drops. So we're trying to base it based off of things that you have already familiar with and that you've played normally,
Yep.
rather than just say go collect 50 billion materials.
And this is one of those things
yes,
acquired from the strikes. So I can consume this,
yes,
and then we can
starts
see
to fill
here
up.
that my meter's filling up.
Yep. Yep.
And then I need the amplified paradox amplifier. One more time. Let's take a look at what that icon looks like, and let's see if I have any of those. I do, in fact.
Wow, you have them already.
I have them already. In the interest of time, we have front-loaded our
Yes.
inventory. And
And we got one more.
bam, actually, incomplete.
Yes. And so what you would need to do, if you go and act,
Advanced paradox amplifier.
yes. Oh, okay. So what you need to do, yeah, there it is.
There we go. We'll use this instead.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay,
There
I
you
now
go.
have a prophecy tablet.
Yep.
It seems to be charged.
Energized. Yep.
Yeah.
As you indicated before, I can tell that public events are happening on Mercury,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. I can even see those people are not in my fire team, but I can tell that Mercury is populated with willing allies down there if I wanted to rush down and leave all this. But how can I leave this right here?
And when you can give this to Brother Vance, and he will give you.
Is that what I want to do? I want to transmute the tablet?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Everybody wants to transmute.
Very
Now
good.
that you have the transmuted tablet, you will take it over to the forge.
All right.
And because, yeah, you see there's nav points.
So this is the forge right here. We'd mentioned before that there are 11 different verses, each indicated by one of these nodes. It would appear that I have activated one of the nodes, so one of the weapons is mine, so I always know which verses that I am in possession of. 11 nodes instead of 12 because it looks like you busted one of the nodes to
Yeah.
hack this thing.
We have to.
Oh man,
It had to happen.
sometimes you have to destroy to create.
Yes.
So I come over here to this interface that we have hacked together.
And because it's a public bubble, other players will see this.
Oh, really?
As
Cool.
you do it.
So they'll say, congratulations to you because you are now the proud owner. Oh my, it's doing its work. Something is arriving.
And then bam.
And it is the Jack, Queen, King 3.
If you look down.
We go.
Energy weapon.
What'd you give me? Where is it? What am I
The
looking
energy.
for? There
Energy.
we go. This?
Yes.
Right here. Okay. Let's take a look at the details. Cool. Dave, talk to me about the story behind these weapons. What's their origin? How did they come into being? They look rather cobbled together through different types of tech.
Sure. So when we started talking about what we could do with these types of weapons, we wanted to make sure everything paid tribute back to Osiris and his history. So what you're kind of seeing is we kind of did a snapshot of what time was like when Osiris was exiled from the tower. So we start to think about thematically what those weapons were like. And say he had this cache, and he took it with him. As he comes here and he's investigating more about the Vex and he's learning more about the mechanisms and the inscrutable machines that they actually construct, he's able to harness some of that and merge it with our own technology. So that's kind of like thematically, that's how we came and we arrived at the aesthetic and the look of these weapons. So regardless if it's a hand cannon, the sniper rifle, scout rifle, SMG,
Yeah.
all of them will have that base idea of the fusion of Vex technology with our own technology.
And to break the veneer of the lore, these are weapons that were designed by our sandbox team.
Absolutely.
These are weapons that were designed specifically by Bungie with specific perks, specific attributes, and On the next stream, the final stream that we'll be hosting before the launch of Curse of Osiris, we'll take a look at some of those different weapons. We'll take a look at all of the gear that you'll be able to earn with Curse of Osiris or as part of Season 2, which begins when Curse of Osiris launches. But for today, having taken a glimpse at how that works and how we're delivering incentive to do things like public events, what else? Adventures?
Yeah.
Strikes?
Yes.
So while we're talking about how the player experience is changing, what would you say about strikes?
So we decided that, hey, strikes are an integral part of the Destiny experience. They tell great stories. They have awesome bosses.
Yep.
And so for expansion 1, what we wanted to do is show more of those strikes, make those more part of this main story.
Yep.
So we have 2 strikes for Curse of Osiris. We built them as strikes.
Okay.
But we took those and said, hey, we're going to make story versions of these strikes. And so your first introduction to each of those strikes will be through our story.
To the campaign.
And we have made changes to those story strikes so that they tell more of a story for the campaign. But then when you are done with the campaign, we will put those strikes in a playlist and have changes to them to be more tailored for 3 players.
So as I enjoy the campaign, if I'm a solo player who enjoys experiencing a campaign all by myself, I don't need to trouble with other people.
Correct.
I don't need to worry about someone going away from their controller and not participating.
Correct.
I can enjoy that strike all by myself as a lone gunman. And then later on, let's say I experience that strike as a match-made activity, then it will be scaled to accommodate the cooperative experience. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this, am I going to feel like I've been deprived of 2 additional story missions?
Not at all.
No.
I think one of the great things about this is that we've always, every strike has always had a story that it told.
Yeah.
And by bringing those and making those part of Osiris' story allows us to, I think, enrich in the overall narrative that is Osiris' history and everything we want to talk about.
Give people more of a sense of context of those strikes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've always felt slightly separate from the other story that was told. Like you finished your campaign, now go back in and fight some additional bosses or something like that.
Yeah, and when you buy the expansion, it's really nice because you can immediately see and play through these experiences without having to do the random matchmaking thing.
Yeah.
And you'll right away get to see, oh, these are the strikes that come with it.
Yeah.
And then later on, as you're playing the matchmaking, they will be there as well.
Well, we have endeavored to avoid story spoilers as much as we could. Wanted to give people a sense of how Destiny 2 would be changing, some of the different new ways to play. While story strikes are a step in that direction, we're not going to play one today.
Correct.
We are going to save that for players to experience as part of the campaign, as part of the Curse of Osiris campaign. I'm sorry?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That story begins for you. For today, what we're going to do is, if you missed it last week, this gate in the lighthouse takes us down to the public space. And you can see in the distance, on the other side of that structure, we have the fire team that had played through the public event. And now we are going to invite those 2 players to embark on an adventure. You said that adventures are really the way to unlock the experience, that's the way to explore Mercury.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is send them on an adventure into the Infinite Forest.
Yep.
So I'm going to surrender the point of view here, and we're going to join our fire team. There they are. Check out those handsome devils. Hello, Warlock. Hello, Titan. Hello, Hunter. Take it away. They are playing an adventure entitled The Up and Up. So you are clear to engage. You are clear to go through this gate into the Infinite Forest. Dave Matthews, point of order before we delve too deep into the machine here. Refresh our memory in a couple of sentences, if you would, as to exactly what the Infinite Forest is.
The Infinite Forest is a large Vex simulation that's constructed to explore all the infinite possibilities throughout time that ultimately brings about their success and their goals. And this also happens to be the last place that Osiris was seen going into. And Ikora is the person that puts you into motion to go and find Osiris, which ultimately will lead you into the Infinite Forest.
So Osiris was lost to time, lost to all of the infinite realities that the Vex are investigating, and this is their machine inside the core of Mercury. I mean,
right.
they've hollowed it out like a pumpkin and used it as a construct. We can see, much like the public event, the landscape is propagating here as we move through it. And how exactly is that happening?
So we have been working on this for a bit. This is a really exciting new addition to Destiny. This is kind of capitalizing what I like to think of as the unknown, right? So these are spaces built by our artists. There's variants that they have, and this with these encounters were built by our designers. The difference is that these are put together kind of like a Lego set of Lego blocks, where you'll have a piece that is fun to play on, but those will be connected by the by your PlayStation 4 or your PC, and built in a way that will be different every time. They will connect differently. You might not see half of the pieces for your playthrough. There is no rhyme or reason in how they are connected besides that they connect to another reality.
So this is not necessarily procedurally generated. These are set pieces that you have created to provide players with a good and interesting experience as they move through the space.
Yes.
But we have random combinations of set pieces. We have random combinations of enemies.
I think I'd probably say they're more intelligently assembled than random.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it is that we want to make sure that not only like is from beginning to end as you move from the present into either the past, present, or future on the other side of the Infinite Forest, that you have a solid experience that I think is probably I think it's one of the strengths that we have at Bungie, and we want to make sure that this holds up to that same bar.
Yep. So the unknown is a thing that I'm really excited about, because I feel like if you've played Destiny for any period of time, you start to know how things work out, and this guaranteed every time you come here, you will play something you have not experienced prior. This will be different every time. If you in this space, you can see there's a red gate, and there are these demon characters. So there's a Vex AI that hides itself as one of the combatant races. So for example, this is the Hive. The Hive have never actually fought the Vex in a Destiny game up to this point. Any of the 4 combatant races are available and will be plopped into any of these encounters. And there's, like I said, there are the demons that are actually Vex AI that they will basically hold players up. And so you need to find the demon so that you can unlock the gate. We really, I mean, if you check a look at the skybox, there's just so much more. Like, you can see things way out there. There's a bunch of different possibilities. We really want it to feel like there's this kind of big expanse, and you can be and go anywhere. That's our hope, is that we instill in that.
So their objective on this adventure, the Up and Up, is to step into the future. And exactly how does that work in this space?
So I can totally speak to that. So when we built the entire destination Mercury, the notion of thinking about Mercury as 4 distinct locations. One, which is the present, which is kind of boots on the ground, which we were just seeing where the public event is.
Yes.
There's the Infinite Forest, which is what we're looking at right now. And then there's the end caps to all of those, where the Infinite Forest takes us. So into the past, into the other aspects of the present, and then into the future. And what you're seeing here is that as we're progressing through that conduit between what was the public space, ultimately we're going to step through and we're going to arrive at a final destination in this simulation, which is into the dark future.
Yes.
So Mercury as a destination is the sum of all of its parts.
Absolutely.
We have different versions of Mercury as we move through time. We have this Infinite Forest, which is sort of the nexus of all of those exploration experiences.
I like to think of the Infinite Force as kind of like an action subway that takes you from the present day into the simulation and into one of the simulated past, present, and future. This is definitely a different way of thinking about destinations, but I think it's really exciting because there is a lot of opportunities for players seeing new things all the time and replaying and seeing and giving that sense of the unknown, sense of wonder.
We now see here that we've stepped into a different vision.
Yes. This is the dark future. This is where the Vex have won. There's nothing else. There's no light. There's no dark. There's only the Vex.
You can see our dead sun in the distance of the skybox there.
And in the case of this simulation, the Fallen are here too, because this is a Vex simulation that the Vex are saying, hey, what would happen in the dark future when we win if the Fallen were to survive?
All possible realities. Let's take a look at every single reality that is possible in this universe.
Yes.
And then let's take the steps we need to take in order to get to the one we like the best.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
God, I just so want that in my life.
Yes. You can have it. Curse of Osiris.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, aesthetically, we wanted to make sure that each of those locations inside of Mercury felt really, really different, unique.
Yep.
So this one, we want to obviously make it feel cold, a little hopeless.
Nothing to light the way but a million red glaring Vex eyeballs.
Yes.
So, and then you saw kind of like the sun-scorched, sun-parched areas of the present, kind of that surrealistic, floating world of mystery that is the Infinite Forest. And then you'll get a chance to see what the past is like as well.
Yeah, I'm not even playing. Whenever and my palms are sweating.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys do this jumping puzzle, you're gonna fall to your death. Crap!
Yes.
It induces a very strong sense of vertigo.
So all the adventures have a theme. The up and up adventures play around with this concept that you're making progress and you're doing these kind of high wire, dangerous, palm sweaty jump puzzles.
Yep.
We have other adventures as well that have their own gameplay theme. I really like the way that the adventure team handled this, because they took these very disparate, different parts, different adventure gameplay fields, and they made adventures for them. And I think someone just fell to their death.
Did they? Did they?
Oh. Anyway.
Nope. They all made it.
And so yeah, when you do different adventures, they absolutely have a very distinct gameplay feel to them, and it's a really nice. You could play a bunch of them and never feel like, oh, I'm never be confused about, am I playing this one or another one? It's very clear.
Time to eliminate the fallen captain.
Yep.
Going down a little bit easier for you, Deej? A little less stress-inducing?
Just a little. Just a little.
And so, like I said, all these adventures also have all the different combatant races options. So you'll play an adventure sometimes with a Hive, and sometimes you'll play one with the Fallen, the Cabal. There's definitely a lot of variety.
Variety is a good word. Yeah, variety is a good expectation to set.
Yep.
Not entirely random, because something that is completely random could lead to a bad experience for the player.
Absolutely.
You always want to entertain. You always want to challenge and give people. I think Destiny does a good job of letting you know what you should go and do. You know, not to create. I think it's difficult to feel heroic when you are confused.
Yeah.
Although certainly the raid is an exception. But when you're on an adventure, when you're shooting your way through a campaign, to give people an interesting place to explore, but not so interesting that it's confounding and doesn't make sense.
And these end caps, these past, present, future end caps, they're handcrafted. Like, these are all built by artists and designers, and the encounters are custom. The
objective is complete.
Yep.
Collect your rewards, gentlemen. Good shooting, and thank you so much.
Bam.
And you have
there you go.
An updated milestone.
There you go.
Well, there we have it. All right. Thanks so much for taking us on that adventure. Thanks so much to our fire team. That was actually live, because you can trigger those at will, and you can play them whenever you want. Public events are a little bit more of a surprise, but an adventure is a promise of action and adventure that is always at the ready.
Yep.
Fantastic. So we've demonstrated today some of the different ways to explore Mercury, this shifting, interactive destination. When you compare this to some of the expansions that we had in Destiny 1 Year 1, the Dark Below, the House of Wolves, this is the first time we've been able to put a new node on the Director and give people a new place to go, and to pack that place with some different ways to experience Destiny. That's really been the focus of the conversation today.
Yes.
Anything else you'd want to tell our audience before we wrap this up?
I'm really excited about this project. I think it came off really, really well. It's going to give some people different taste of what they've been playing. It's going to give them more options. We have a Strikes playlist, new Heroic Strikes. I'm sure that was mentioned last week.
Yep, we did mention that.
This is, to me, like something that I've been really looking forward to. I'm a big fan of like the Vex lore, and so I'm really excited for people to play this. I think this is going to be really satisfying for a lot of people.
Well, that's certainly why we do it.
Yep.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, we will be back next week. You gentlemen will not be back.
No.
You have survived
Sad.
your second stream,
Yes.
and you survived your first.
Yeah.
So I hope the hot seat wasn't too hot. I really appreciate you coming on the show. A live environment like this is, it's kind of advanced citizenship on the internet, but you bore the trial well. So
I hope.
Yeah. We
now-
will be
you're now
back
allowed
next
to go to
week
the
with
lighthouse.
John Wisniewski to talk about weapons, and Kevin Lee to talk about some of the different armor that you will be earning as part of Curse of Osiris and Season 2. All up. This is campaign armor. This is exotic armor.
Maybe we'll show a little raid stuff too.
Maybe we'll show the raid lair armor. Actually, I have clearance to show the raid lair armor. Faction rallies armor, Iron Banner armor, all up. There will be a fabulous parade of the real reason why we play Destiny, which is to get cool stuff and to make our hero awesome and unique. So I hope you'll join us for that. We will have a blog update tomorrow, and then because it's Thanksgiving in these parts, Bungie will be experiencing a short week. We realize that we have a global community and not everyone shares in that, so look for the blog to be updated tomorrow with that F5. And
That's it.
that's it for now. Dan Miller, thank you so much
It was
for
a
being
pleasure.
here. Dave Matthews,
Thank you.
thank you again for being here again. I'm Deej from Bungie. It's been our pleasure to talk to you today. Curse of Osiris arrives on the platform that you prefer, that you use to play, on December 5th, and we hope to see you in the Lighthouse in person. Great to have you on stream. Show's over.